Welcome to the SignWriting stream, where we show, teach, and demo all about sign writing. Today's episode, sorting for all. We're going to cover a variety of topics today. First, sorting is one-dimensional. Welcome to the SignWriting stream, where we two dimensions are not sortable. We're going to talk about the theory of sorting. We're also going to talk about the sign spelling sequence. We're going to talk about sortable versus unsortable signs. We're going to talk about sorting comparison versus sorting processing. We have symbols used only in the temporal prefix. We have detailed location symbols. We're going to talk about a sorting edge case and the SignWriting Null. First, sorting is one-dimensional. When you're sorting, something comes first, something comes last. And there's an easy comparison when you're talking about items. You can see on the screen we have two lists. One of them is unsorted and the other is sorted. When we have a large amount of information, sorting helps us find what we are looking for in predictable ways. Two dimensions are not sortable. Here we have 8 examples of two-dimensional arrangements of letters. If we were to have 10 different people and we ask them to put these in the correct order, we would probably have 10 different orders. The reason is that sorting 2 dimensions doesn't work. What we need is a theory of sorting. Once we have, in this example, a deterministic theory of sorting, we're able to take any two-dimensional arrangement and create our one-dimensional arrangement for sorting. If we use the theory of sorting we do alphabetical. That's an easy thing to do. We can just look at our two-dimensional arrangement, find all the letters, and put them in alphabetical order. We have the letter A, the letter C, the letter T. Alternately, our theory of sorting could be, we go clockwise, starting from the top. So if we go clockwise, we have the letter C, the letter A, the letter T. If we go top to bottom and left to right, we're going to end up with the letter C, the letter T, the letter A. Or if we're just going strictly from left to right, you're going to have the letter T, the letter C, and then the letter A. For sorting, two dimensions, we need a theory of sorting. When we look at sign writing, let's talk about 2 dimensions versus 1 dimensions. When we're writing, we write in 2 dimensions, as you can see with our sign here. But for this sign, what is the one-dimensional order that we want to have? On the screen, you can see 4 alternatives. Which one's the correct one? Well, we need a theory of sorting. Well, Valerie Sutton gives us this theory of sorting with the SignSpelling Sequence. It starts with the first syllable and the beginning hand-shape positions. The second syllable, it contains movements and dynamics to the next set of hand shapes. Then our third syllable here is our ending hand shapes. And our last syllable is going to contain faces and locations. So for our sign, we have our two-dimensional arrangement, but for our sign spelling sequence, we have a one-dimensional arrangement of symbols. An author writes 2 things. First, an author writes the two-dimensional order for viewing. Without this two-dimensional arrangement, we cannot read sign writing. But an author also needs to make a one-dimensional order for sorting. This is based on a particular theory. Usually, if you're talking about a dictionary or a collection of signs, you want to make sure that all the signs are written according to the same theory of sorting. Now, this sign two-dimensional arrangement and our sign spelling sequence with our one-dimensional arrangement, they contain different amounts of information. And you cannot go from the sign to the sign spelling sequence. And you can also not go from the sign spelling sequence to the sign. Now, formal sign writing is a two-part word of time and space, and there are two types of signs. One is unsortable, and that does not have the temporal prefix, or the author has not written the sign spelling sequence or whatever theory of sorting they're using. Our sortable signs, they start with that temporal prefix. You can see in our sortable sign, it starts with the sign writing letter A. And then it has our list of symbols that the author has specifically ordered for sorting. If you look at the unsortable and the sortable signs, you can see that both of them have XY coordinates for our symbols, because when we write in 2 dimensions, we have to have Cartesian coordinates. Now, both sortable and unsortable need that 2-dimensional arrangement, but only sortable signs will have a theory of sorting in the temporal prefix at the start. Here's a list of unsortable words. I say they're unsortable, but what I really mean is that it's unpredictably sortable, or it's sortable in a way that we don't really want. If we look at these 3 words, they all start with the sign writing letter M. This means the middle lane for writing. All of them start with the same symbol or same character, so they all are equal right now. Then we go to the next character in our strings, and we see that that first one has 519. Our second one has 521. Our third one has 525. So this is actually sorting the words, but the sorting is nothing that we want. And it's also based on the max X coordinate, then the max Y coordinate, and it's not really useful for searching large sets of signs to find what we want. With those same signs, we can make them sortable by adding that temporal prefix. And here we have each of the 3 signs with our sign spelling sequence. And as you can see, they're sorting properly. The sort order is based on the order of the International Signwriting Alphabet, 2010. We can look at these same words written in formal sign writing in ASCII, and we can see that they are sorted properly here. They all start with A, they all start with S, they all start with 1. But the 4th character, this is where sorting kicks in. 0 comes before 5, and 5 comes before F. When we're talking about sorting, we have comparison or we have processing. For comparison, 1 is less than 2. That's either true or false. Sorting by comparison, or a binary string comparison, is universally supported. You can use it in Excel, you can use it in a database, you can use it in programming. Also, we have optimal speed. The amount of processing that's needed for sorting, very minimal. Now, if we want to sort by processing, what we actually need to do is create a compare function where we create a complicated compare function. We pass it our 2 words, and the function will tell us which one comes first and which one comes second. Now, this is only partially supported. Some programming languages allow you to override the sort comparison. The only thing is this requires constant processing, and it wastes a lot of time. Now, for formal sign writing, the temporal prefix and the spatial sign box. The spatial sign box is our 2-dimensional arrangement. Our temporal prefix is our 1-dimensional arrangement of symbols. They will often use the same symbols, but they do not need to use the same symbols. There can be a variety of reasons why you wouldn't want to use the same symbols. One big and obvious reason is that you're using detailed location symbols. Now, detailed location symbols are used by linguists and people that deal with automation and sometimes dealing with artificial intelligence. They may need this alternative theory of sorting, where the sorting is based on where exactly the symbols happen in space. Now, these detailed location symbols are only used in the temporal prefix. You would never see the detailed location symbols used in our 2-dimensional arrangements. These detailed symbols are not required for everyday writing, and they are not usually used with the sign spelling sequence because there is no need for them. Now we have a sorting edge case, and that is sorting signs with only one hand, and that can be an issue. If we look at our three signs right here, they are sorted according to how they would naturally sort with our sign spelling sequence. And we can see that we start with a one-handed sign, then we move to a two-handed sign, and then back to a one-handed sign. And that's because that third character in each of the strings, we have the hand shape. And the hand shape, this comes before the contact. This is not necessarily what we want because it's not predictable. If you're looking through a dictionary, you may want to see all the one-hand signs before the two-hand signs. So this is where the SignWriting Null comes in. This is a new character planned for 2024. I'm currently working on it. In formal signwriting in ASCII, the SignWriting Null is S00000. For signwriting in Unicode, SWU, the character is U plus 40000. Now the signwriting null is only used in the temporal prefix. You would not see the signwriting null used in a two-dimensional arrangement. In the future, I'm going to be modifying the symbol palette, and the signwriting null will be located at the end of the detailed location symbols. Now, if we review our signwriting edge case where we're dealing with one-hand signs, we can see in that order that we do have the single-hand signs sorting before the two-hand signs. And if you look at that second sign, that third character, you can see our signwriting null is taking the place of our non-dominant hand. This is a way to use the signwriting null. It's used for the sign spelling sequence as the theory of sorting, and I'm excited to use it. So that's our episode today. If you have any questions or feedback, please leave them in the YouTube chat. After the stream, you can do YouTube video comments. We have Patreon chat, a Gitter chat. You can comment on our GitHub projects, our Facebook group, and our signwriting email list. The references for this episode can be found online. We have a presentation called A Sign by Any Other Name. We have the SignSpelling Guidelines, document written by Valerie. We also have SignMaker 2017. I'm going to open up that in a minute and show you the sorting. There's also the SignWriting in Unicode demo page that helped come up with these examples and the characters. I'm going to be sharing my screen here in a minute, so we are going to lose the Portuguese captions. I'm working on that so that I can have the captions all the time. Work in progress. But first, I wanted to say thank you. I received a book today in the mail, and I was very happy. Beautiful. Here we have the presentation, A Sign by Any Other Name. It was prepared for the 2017 symposium. It's still an excellent resource. Hope that you check it out. Has lots of great information. You can go through that at your leisure and hopefully learn some interesting and new things. We also have the Sign Spelling Guidelines by Valerie Sutton. You can see it talks about the sign spelling sequence and how it is created. And you can read through that and you can learn some things as well. All right, I'm going to open up the US dictionary in SignMaker, and you can see that our signs all start with our first symbol. If we scroll through the pages that we have in the American Sign Language Dictionary, you can see that they are sorting. And that sorting, we can click on any of the signs. You can see the sign spelling sequence here on the side. And as we go through these, we can see that it sorts by the first symbol, second symbol, and so on and so forth. So this will keep going along, and we'll have new palm facings after rotations. We keep going. And we have the two hand shape and so forth. Now, unsortable signs will actually appear at the end of the list. And we can see, like, here's an example of a sign that is not sortable because it does not have a sign spelling sequence. So what we can do is we can just drag and modify that. So we can just drag dominant hand, non-dominant hand, dominant hand movement, non-dominant hand movement. We have the string right here. And we see here, that is our sign spelling sequence. That is our temporal prefix that allows us to sort. If we take away that, we can still see our two-dimensional arrangement. But without that temporal prefix, this sign right here is unsortable. Now it's sortable. Looks like we had an issue. I wonder where I lost off and dropped off. All right, I think that we're good. Well, that makes today's episode complete. I hope that you enjoyed and learned something. If you have any questions, please get in contact. And again,